Hmm. Hello, hello. All right, guys. Welcome to church. No, seriously. Let me just drink something. It's been a crazy couple weeks. You know what? No, let's be really honest here. It's been a crazy couple months. No. Let's go even deeper with the honesty. It's been a crazy couple years. Couple years. And I think what we need to begin recognizing is that for many of us, whether we're doing this externally, internally, silently, very vocally, very, able to be witnessedy, however you want to put it, uh, we've just really been pushing too hard, is what it is. Is what it is. Um, I asked what this reading was going to be about as I was about to have an absolute breakdown. No, that's dramatic. I wasn't having a breakdown. I was feeling kind of stressed out just because it's like uh running 3 companies, 6 projects, launching a nonprofit, and taking care of multiple households is just it's something. I'm not even complaining though. It's just this thing of like we need to begin recognizing exactly how much we've taken on. Okay. It's not about complaining. It's not about, oh, I do this, this, and this, and oh my God, and blah, blah, blah. And it's not about any of that. It is about recognizing and giving yourself credit for exactly how much you're doing, how long you're doing it, and the effects that it's had on you. So this reading is for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Also for your cross watchers. Also for those of us who find ourselves on this channel without any Piscean anything. You're probably an empath. You're probably needing messages from your soul. Okay. I asked what this reading was going to be about. I'm told pushing too hard and what it's supposed to have an S, a T before the S, T apostrophe S. It's what it's doing to you. Okay. Let's just pull some cards. Let's get a couple decks. Okay. And I got to hurry because I got to teach a class after this. Speaking of, let's do this. All right. All right. We got this. We can get this done. Bada bing, bada boom. We can get this done. Okay. It's no biggie. Just got to not mess around, is what it is. All right. So let's see what's going on. Let's pull 4 cards from each deck. Woo! That's intense already. Woo! That's intense. Here goes, okay? Let's pull that many. Okay. And then we'll pull some from here. Well, you know what? Let's hold off on how many we're going to pull from here. Let's see where the reading takes us with these 2 decks, first and foremost. So, hand fasting union. What have you committed yourself to? Is this card really about a relationship with someone? Or is this about your relationship with yourself? Have you been cheating on yourself? Have you been stepping out on the relationship between self and soul by allowing other people to be the thing you focus on rather than focusing on your spiritual growth, focusing on your personal growth as a human being, having a human experience. You have to be cognitive of where you're at within that. You have to allow yourself to recognize, am I in the human experience right now, or am I in the spiritual? Because those two things can be experienced at the same time, but they will have different effects depending on which one you're focused on more. You know what I'm saying? So this hand fasting and union, I'm wondering if this has more to do about your relationship with yourself than it has to do with a romantic relationship with another person. Uh, a lot of the pushing has to do with your lack of willingness. I'm about to call you out, so put the big kid pants on. A lot of what this has to do with is you avoiding the processing of your life, your experiences, and how those experiences have affected you. And it becomes this thing where the more you avoid it, the more intense that point of recognition becomes. So I was talking to someone recently. I knew they had some type of serious health circumstance, right? And they were kind of like asking for my opinion, but kind of not. And it became this thing of, hey, it would be really irresponsible of me to not say something because I clearly can detect you are in the middle of a very, very serious health condition. You need to go to the ER. And, this person has been through a lot. They've been through a lot with their health. And it became a thing of, oh, I'll go in a little bit, I'll go in a few days. I just need to rest. And the thing was this, I had to be blunt in my honesty of, listen, what's already happened with your health has happened with your health. Okay. There's no undoing it. I don't think there's any other medical intervention that can take place. You've gone beyond that small window that is afforded to people who, can receive medical intervention for that specific type of condition. What I'm trying to do is encourage you to go to make sure there's not a larger event happening soon, or a complication from this. Okay. So because I said that, and to make it more clear, we're talking about ischemic events, a stroke. Okay. You only have a small window for a stroke. If you've had a stroke, it's something like 45 minutes to an hour. You need to have been diagnosed and medical treatment, medical intervention initiated. I think anything beyond the 1 hour window from the onset, the start of the symptoms, not when you go in, from the start of the symptoms, you now cannot take any clot busting type medications. Your only form of mitigating the devastation that occurs during a stroke, where portions of your brain are deprived of blood flow. That's devastating. Okay, that's devastating. That's a devastating condition. And so it was this thing of if you want to wait a few days, what's that going to do? It's already been a few days. It's already been a few days. And, really all you're going to do is go in for diagnostics, confirm what's going on with you. They're probably going to send you home after 24 hours, monitor you, make sure everything's fine, send you home. And then that's it. You can move on with your life. Or you can sit there and wait several more days, and every single day your anxiety is building because now you don't know if it's anxiety or if you had a stroke and you've thrown another clot and now it's a heart attack. You don't know. No one knows. No one knows what's going on. So the longer you wait, the more you punish yourself, the more you torture yourself, the more elevated that point of facing whatever needs to be faced, the more intense that becomes. It's the equivalent of being in a roller coaster, on a roller coaster ride, sitting in that seat and just sitting at the very top. You've climbed, right? You're at the front seat and you're right there at the top. And then they roll you over just a little. So now you're not staring at the sky. You're staring at the track in front of you, where they're just going to let you roll nearly vertical. I tell you, if you guys go and ride the Viper, that little doohickey there, it's almost a vertical drop. Six Flags over in California, SoCal area. That's almost a vertical drop. Love it. Love it. And I'm over there like, yeah, dangle me some more. But here's the thing. Most people are not like that. Most people are not like that. It's that anticipation building and building and building that's creating more strife in your life. If you allow yourself to actually face what needs to be faced, you just get it over with. Just get it over with. You know? You just get it over with. Years ago, I nearly sliced off the entire like section of my thumb. Long story. I nearly sliced it off with a paring knife. And I didn't want to go into the ER. My mom kept nagging me. You're like, you better go in, you better go in. And I thought I was going to be an absolute savage and just put some crazy glue on that. You know what I'm saying? Like liquid stitch. So I didn't think about it. And what happened was I put it inside the cut rather than holding the skin together and applying the crazy glue outside so that the skin will bond. Which I think I was saved. I was prevented from harming myself further because I did that, because that would have been a huge hematoma, a huge like clump of blood. Yuck. And so maybe like 2-3 hours later, this whole time my mom's nagging me. She's nagging me. And I'm like, I don't need to go. It would not stop profusely bleeding for like 3, maybe 4 hours. Eventually I had to go into the ER. I did not want to go into the ER because I cannot have lidocaine or epinephrine. I didn't want to get it stitched. But it was a flap. It was flapping. I couldn't get it to stop bleeding. Finally, I decided to go in. And they were going to numb me. And I'm like, no. I will die. You cannot give me lidocaine or epinephrine. And they're like, well, we're going to have to do it without. At which point I put on my big girl pantaloons, okay? I put on my big girl pantaloons and I was like, do it. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm done messing around with myself. I'm just done. Just do it. So they cleaned my wound, my gaping wound, thoroughly. That felt interesting. And then they stitched it with no lidocaine. That also felt very interesting. And then it was done. I was literally in there maybe 30, 40 minutes, and then it was done. And then my body could go about its process with trying to heal itself. I tortured myself for like 3-4 hours for no reason. I still had to go in to get the stitches. I still had to go in to get those stitches put in. I knew that, but I didn't want to give my mother the satisfaction. Ego-based. A lot of what we suffer through is based in ego. We don't want to let people feel like they're right. We don't want to give people the satisfaction. We don't this, we want that. You know, just do what you need. Just do what you need. Have compassion for yourself for once. The thing with empaths, and especially Pisceans, we can have so much compassion for everyone else but ourselves. Everyone else but ourselves. Does that sound fair to you? Does that sound like the behaviors, decisions, actions of someone that has transcended the limited perception of this human condition? No. That sounds like someone who's hell-bent on punishing themselves, which brings us to the next card, healer in reverse. You are a healer. You refuse to heal. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah. Do you realize the way you learn to heal other people is by first learning to heal yourself? Why do you think you are allowed to perceive yourself as so broken? You're not actually broken, it's just a perception. Believing and thinking and feeling you are something does not make you that something. I believe I am a magical mofo, a unicorn in a magical ethereal forest. There is no horn coming out my head. There is no forest around. I may be wearing my camo today, but it's not hiding me from any hunters. I feel like, I believe, and I feel I am a magical unicorn of a human being. Yet here I am with no horn and no forest, wearing camo in a room. See, seeing yourself, believing yourself, feeling yourself to be something is not the same as actually being it. Okay? That means although you see yourself, you believe yourself, you feel yourself to be broken, it does not mean you are broken. It is a perception that you are having. And in that perception, you're being afforded the opportunity to learn how to heal yourself and then others after you're done with your first patient, which is who? You. Passion in reverse. It's almost like you're telling yourself you're not allowed to be passionate. Ooh. I made the acquaintance of some amazing person yesterday during the workshop. I'm pretty sure he's a Scorpio. The level of intensity and control this person had, I'm pretty sure he's a Scorpio. I'm pretty sure of it. But it was very, very interesting because I found myself very drawn to their energy. Why? Because they felt like an external projection of a component of me. The part of me that I've learned to embrace and hold gently, accept, love upon. That part of me that many of you have told me is like at a level 18, somewhere between 18 and 33. And you need me at a 2. I'm never going to be at a 2. And I was telling the group that yesterday, like, I don't necessarily think there's an issue with you, with your intensity and your passion. I think the issue is that when you serve as a mouthpiece for divinity, for God, and people are not willing or ready to hear the messages God sent you to kind of just speak upon, then they're obviously going to attack the messenger in order to reject the message, right? I mean, baby boo, when that letter has your name on it, you can throw all the rocks you want at the mailman, but that letter is still yours. And it's this thing of the environment that you're in. If they can't understand the gravity of your presence in their life, you're probably in the wrong environment. I was thinking about this all morning when I went to go take a shower. I was thinking about this, and it was this concept, this conversation I was having with Michaela. You can always tell what mood I'm in based on how I refer to Archangel Michael. Michaela over here, we were talking in the shower. I've learned to be comfortable with him speaking to me while I'm showering, standing in the shower with me. And this realization dawned on me. You will find your peace when you find yourself in the environment you belong in. Ooh, the gravity of that. If you exist without peace in your life, have you ever paused long enough to consider you are not in the environment that you belong in? You're not in the environment you belong in. What does that mean? That means they are either unwilling or incapable of accepting you as you are. There have been many, many, many people who have heard the words coming out of my mouth and it has triggered them in such a way. They feel attacked. They feel I'm abrasive. They feel this, that. You feel whatever you want, baby boo. You're free to feel that. For real. Feel it down to your core. Feel it go from your core out to your nipplies. Okay? Feel it all the way through you. That is resonance. What people do with that resonance, yeah, we don't really know. We don't really know what they're going to do with that. They're either going to feel that divinity coursing through them, like, whoa, oh my gosh, I suddenly understand my life and my struggle and this aha, extremely cathartic moment. Or they're going to be like, oh, heck no. This woman is tripping. She's crazy. Why does she talk like she's mad? Honey, I'm not mad. I'm passionate. I'm passionate. And that's the thing. When people are not at a level of maturity to the degree that they can accept that you are simply passionate about fulfilling your purpose, they'll look for reasons to invalidate you, down to the way you speak, down to your mannerisms, down to the inflection in your voice. Like, mofo, did you not feel the truth resonating in your nipplies? Did you not feel that? I know you felt it. I see you felt it. I have 2 points of reference showing me that you felt it. But see, here's the thing. I understand at this point, it's not for me to sit there day in and day out to make sure this flower is going to grow. I simply plant the seed and I leave you to decide when you will water it. That seed lasts eternally. It literally will last eternally within you. Once you hear it, you will never unhear it again. Tell me where I lied. Tell me where I lied there. Once you hear something, you cannot unhear it. You are now aware of the existence of that truth. Now, when you get comfortable with yourself and your 2 points of reference, then maybe you'll decide to water that seed. And then you will be the one cultivating it, not me. I'm simply here. You can call me Johnny Evolving. Johnny Evolving. Yeah. Like Johnny Appleseed, except we're not planting seeds. We're planting seeds of evolution. Mm-hmm. Allowing yourself to evolve, the involution for that evolution. Woo! Mm-hmm. And it all begins with recognizing your passion is the very thing that can help you to fulfill that purpose in that moment. So I look at this and I'm reminded of the second part of the conversation I had with Michaela in the shower. He starts this conversation about Phoenix. And this person that I had the pleasure of making acquaintances with last night during a work event. I'm like, yeah, I totally took one look at him. Excuse me. And I saw him like burning inside, like burning, just on fire with this overly controlled passion, this component of himself that he's afraid to show the world because thus far the localized world around him has not given him permission to. And it's this thing of when you are a warrior and your environment keeps shaming you for being a warrior, having passion and conviction, you then get tired of being a warrior. You become exhausted with being identified as what you are. This is a powerful man who's exhausted with life. And he looked young too. He was an extremely powerful man, exhausted with life, and he was able to mask it all with neutrality. But I can see beyond that. And we have this entire group like encouraging, like, you are a warrior of God and this. And I'm just like, stop, you're hurting him. You're hurting him more. So I go and I very quietly, privately message, I see you. I see you tired of being a warrior. I see you. I hear you. I see beyond what you show. I see you. I accept you as you are. And it's this thing of seeing this person as this external reflection of my internal self. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard fighting a battle no one knows about. It's hard having the answers for people who don't want to ask the questions and don't want to receive what the answer is. It's hard. It's frustrating. It's exhausting. It is exhausting. And so to tie it into the conversation that I had with Michael this morning, once again in the shower, I was saying, like, I see him. He's like a phoenix preparing to rise from the ashes. And as a phoenix myself, one of the most powerful things that I learned about the essence of a phoenix is that there was no universal law, no divine truth that stipulates a phoenix must rise from her own ash. So what would I rise from? I don't have to always be the one to burn just because I was created in the way that I was. And again, I had to ask myself, well, then what would I burn from? If I were to share this information with someone else, how could I empower them? How could I help them to understand what I just now understand to be truth? Like, how would I quantify this? And then came the realization. You rise from the ashes of the bridges that were burned, the bridges that take you back to places of toxicity and smallness. Once you leave those lands, you burn that bridge and you rise from that ash. Save your fuel for the things that matter. Not simply for the things that make you feel as though I'm too much for the world. I'm hard to accept. I'm hard to love. I'm too intense. No. If there's a kingdom rising, it must be built from change. And if this politically correct stance is what has allowed the world to fall into the darkness that it's currently in, then the change needs to be that blunt honesty, that truth. The guidance is upside down. So many of us have been receiving guidance that's upside down. This guidance that tells you you have to conform in order to fit in. You have to be this and that and at this time in this way, using that tone. You can't use those words. You can't make that face. How about How about we begin recognizing we were made in the way we were made, and the way you were made is beautiful. There was no mistake when you were being created, none. Down to your attitude, that elevated sodium level in your attitude, that high sodium attitude is beautiful. Let them pucker. Let them pucker their lips in response to the truth that you've served. Mm. Your access is confirmed. I just got a notification. Your access is confirmed. Your access to what? Your access to your potential. In order to access that potential, a potential that was instilled within you, instilled, you were born with this, okay, baby boo? This was always yours. This potential is the very thing, the very soil that the seeds of your purpose were planted in. Your potential is the soil that the seeds of your purpose were planted in. I'm just saying, one of the final things I told this person, a warrior can become a farmer anytime he chooses. See, it's a beautiful thing if you've existed as a warrior and you're choosing to use your hands to cultivate, to farm, to grow the sustenance that's necessary, not just for you, but for other people as well. There's something so powerful about the juxtapositioning of the hands of a warrior and the hands of a farmer. They are the same hands, used in different ways. But dare I say, a farmer cannot always be a warrior. Those are two different things. They're not interchangeable. A warrior can lay his weaponry down and pick up the things that are necessary to cultivate the soil. But a farmer does not necessarily know how to use the weapons. Better to allow yourself to exist as a peaceful warrior, one capable of utter destruction, yet choosing peace. How powerful is that? That you will not simply be a method of destruction. Although you are capable of such, you're choosing to be something else, something that is a beautiful middle ground, something that exists within your heart. Warrior spirit, allowing yourself to be exactly who you are. If you need to be a warrior, you need to be a warrior. And as a warrior, if you need to lay your weaponry down, baby boo, lay it down. There are others of us who exist shoulder to shoulder with you, who are still very well armed, and we will protect you while you rest. And that's a beautiful thing about forming a community of like mind, like heart people. What you need a break from, we can pick up your slack. We can function together cohesively. Go rest. Take a few minutes. Recalibrate your perception. Life is not as hard as we try and make it to be. It's only hard, really, when we fight whatever process we're in. That's when it's hard. When you don't fight it, it seems like things just magically happen. Things just magically arrive in perfect time, perfect measure. Card number 48, self-sabotage. Are you sabotaging yourself? Are you allowing yourself to get ensnared by that fear of lack of survival? Like you won't be able to survive this life. Honey, please. Please. Let me get extra salty in my realness with you. Mofo, you've been surviving this whole time. That's what you're good at. You don't even think about it. That's what you're good at. That's where you excel, surviving. You've been surviving since the day you took your first breath. Mofo, stop with that. For real. Stop with that whole, like, I'm just trying to survive. Knock it off. You already know how to survive. What you're doing is fighting the process of you remembering how to thrive. That's what you're scared of. The thriving. Why are you scared? Why are you scared? Is it because. Why are you scared? What is it? What is it? You think you're not enough? You think that if you allow yourself to thrive, then you're taking from someone else? I used to think that too. I used to think that if I allowed myself to receive, um, that I would be robbing other people of that support and that love that really was just meant for me, right? Um, and I felt that receiving, allowing myself to receive, just considering receiving, made me a bad person. It made me very selfish. It made me part of the problem. Why people I don't even know exist suffer. Like, it's my fault. People who I don't know exists suffers because I'm not allowing myself to suffer. So that's martyrdom. Martyrdom is emotional manipulation, right? Are you aware of that? Martyrdom is emotional manipulation. So then what did I learn? I learned that I'm a good person and I'm very giving and very loving and very patient. And if I truly want to be able to help my people, I have to allow myself to receive because I won't keep it anyways. I'll spread it out and share it. That's just how I've always been. That's how I have always been. I remember being, I think I was 20. So, for legality's sake, I was 21. I was 21 and I went to the casino with my mom. And we were playing slot machines together, right? And it was amazing because they were just free flowing the drinks. And your girl was drunk. I was drinking and drinking and drinking Midori sour. And what happened was I lost all my inhibitions. And my mom was playing slot machines beside me, and the two of us kept winning a ton of money. I lost my inhibitions. So I hit the jackpot. I was playing dollar slots. So not only did I hit the jackpot, I hit the spin wheel several times. And on the final time, I kind of got tired of playing. It hit 1,000. And I was playing dollar slots. So I went home with maybe, I played a little bit more though. I want to say I went home with maybe like 7 or 8 grand. And, you would think I'd be like, oh, new purse, new shoes, new clothes, makeup, this and that. I was like, oh my God, this is so perfect. I could get everyone bougie Christmas gifts. I have a huge family. I didn't have any kids yet. So, yeah. I didn't keep any of that money. I spent it all. I spent it all on family. I spent all of it. I went and bought a ton of bougie stuff. And everyone's like, oh my God, where are you getting all this money from? They were wondering if I was like dancing or something. I was like, I won at the casino. What's wrong with you? Why would you ask me that? But that's how I am. I give and I give and I give. We have to stop sabotaging ourselves by giving more than what we should give away. There was no reason for me to give everything away. Just like years later, when people finally, I still remember this. I was sitting in St. Vrain Park. It's this like RV nature preserve in Colorado, St. Vrain. And I was sitting on the bench. And as a juvenile bald eagle flew overhead, because there was one that lived there, I let my audience know I've been stranded in Colorado for several months now. I've been live streaming in parking lots. And that entire time, I had been advocating for pretty much everybody but myself. And the intensity of that live stream, no one had ever seen me cry before. They just never seen me cry before. Always just try and be so very happy-go-lucky and nice and, as sweet as possible to everybody and just be helpful. And they'd never seen the actual pain and struggle that I live through day in and day out, because I felt like I had to protect them from that type of intensity. And when they saw that, it absolutely eviscerated everyone in that audience. Like, oh my God, what do we need to do to make you stop crying? And I was just like, well, everyone was like, how much do you need to fix your brakes so you can get out of that parking lot and leave Colorado and yada, 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 yada. And it just so happened, my husband told me I think it was the day before, his coworker, who he only knew for a couple of weeks, she had kind of vented to him that she's worried. She's worried because she's $700 short on rent and she might be homeless. They might evict her. And she's slightly older. And so I was like, honey, like, we're okay. We have each other. Like, we're safe. We're good. Even in a parking lot, we're safe. We're good. I don't think she'll be okay. And he goes, I don't think so either. And I was like, we have to help her. And he's like, how will we help her? Like, we need to fix our brakes. And so that day when I cried for the first time in front of other people and their hearts broke open and they're like, what can we do to make you feel whole again? I asked for $700 for this woman so she would not be homeless. Just like that, $700 in my account. Withdrew it, cut her a check same day. And one of my friends at the time, she's like, honey, you're in a parking lot. What are you doing? What I do. Let people know they're not alone. And then she's like, well, what about you? I'm not alone. I exist with dignity no matter where I'm at. And I still do feel that. But I also see I intentionally prolonged that struggle because I thought I knew. And that was one of the moments that helped me to solidify. No more free work. And I still kept doing free work. I still do free work. Let's be real here. Let's be real here. I tend to not do free work for people who ask. Okay. But when I see someone is suffering and struggling, it's not uncommon for me to privately message you, offer you all the help that you need, and just leave it at that. I'm never going to change. That's how I am. I'm never going to change. I recognize that. But I'm done sabotaging myself. I'm done refusing to allow myself to receive the things that are necessary in order for me to rebuild this Christ filled kingdom. This Christ consciousness that already exists here in this world needs a place, a kingdom to live within, right? So then what am I doing? Wasting all of this time trying to do one little thing at a time when there's this huge, huge thing that needs to be accomplished. And I realized I was doing busy work. I was trying to keep myself so busy that I could never have the time to do the huge thing that affects the collective whole. And I ask you to kind of pause right now and kind of just think about it. Is this what you're doing as well? Are you allowing yourself to create excuses out of people so that you can have a justification for dragging your feet when it comes to truly fulfilling your purpose in the grandness that your purpose was designed in? Right? Now, it's always been my purpose to help, but was it supposed to be one person at a time? Or was I supposed to create the very thing that could empower all of us to help each other? And then comes this part where when you realize you've been doing that, okay, now you're justified in attacking yourself? No, no, you're not. No, you're not. Although I've had this whole nonprofit thing in my head for so many years at this point, quite a few years, I realized I did not have the maturity to bring it into fruition literally until yesterday. Literally. The day before that was the 1010. That 1010 moment where I entered into this knowing like, this is happening. Okay, this is really something that needs to be done. And then by that night, I entered into that 1111 moment of this divine awareness. Oh, I can see the pathway being created in front of me through my own wilderness. And it's made of organic material. There's nothing synthetic about it. Okay, I like this. And then yesterday came that 1212, that moment of the first steps actually being taken, that transformation and transmutation of knowledge into wisdom, wisdom being knowledge put into action, knowledge applied. So we initiated the filing yesterday. We initiated the filing of our faith-based organization. And all of y'all are attending the first day of church. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And part of that, self-sabotage taps into this other component of the conversation I was having with Michaela in the shower this morning. This thing of making sure that I give myself permission to evolve beyond what you guys have been seeing in the past couple of years. I have been behaving naughtily in a very publicly visible way. Bad language, bad attitude sometimes. And I did need to experience that. I did need to lash out in my own way as part of my processing my life, my pain, my process of learning. So, no, there was nothing wrong with me being who I am. That was still a valid part of me. But yes, I need to allow myself to remove the little girl outfit and put on the Empress robe once again. We can still joke around. We can still have an amazing time together. But you guys will see me change and shift and grow in front of you. In the next few months, you will see a whole new version of me emerging from that chrysalis. And it's going to be powerful. And I invite you to exit that place of isolation right along with me. You'll begin to see other parts of me come forward. Parts of me that maybe I felt I had to hide because of the stigma and the pain from things that happened in childhood, young adulthood, whatever it is. Part of that self-sabotage has to do with not giving yourself the proper permission to go through the proper processes in order to fully blossom and bloom. Life is about to get real beautiful. Why? Because we're going to make it beautiful. Because we are going to shift our perception, our positioning together. I realize so many people are ready to shift. They're just afraid to do it because they don't know if they're doing it wrong. They don't know if they're turning it in the wrong direction. And all they need is to witness someone in the process of doing it. And in witnessing that sacred act of shifting, they then will find their courage to shift right along with me. What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing to have found my community, my people. It's a very, very beautiful thing to understand that although, yes, it's like we've purchased this property that's in shambles, it's been condemned, right? And this is such a perfect metaphor because, I mean, I've been condemned by the Catholic Church. I'm not allowed to exist. Yeah, you might not think so, but the God that you serve gave me a VIP pass. See what I'm saying? So we've entered into this condemned property. And it's like, oh my God, why did we buy this? It's a POS. It's a piece of caca. Why did we buy this? Oh, honey, I can see the potential. The frame is still good. The foundation is still good. We simply have to erect the walls, put the roof up, add plenty of windows to allow the truth, the light to enter. Allow ourselves to decorate the interior in a way that's aesthetically and spiritually pleasing. Oh, the beauty of it. And once we gather all the trash that's been strewn about the property, we can then begin to assess, what will we grow here? And what type of branch of this community will we allow to flourish here? We'll put all the herbalists there and the shamanic medical people over there so they're in close proximity to each other. We'll put all the bushcraft people over there so they have space for all of their crafting. We'll put the woodworkers over there so their wood chips can be donated to the herbalists as part of the composting. I mean, it's going to be beautiful. And all of this exists in here and here. And unless you can allow that out, that vision that most people do not have, He'll never exist. And see, Michael corrects me. He says it's not a vision. It's a visual representation of the blueprint of the next part of our evolution. I'll take that. It sounds good. It's the blueprint. Blueprint meaning direct instructions from divinity itself. Oof. These are not components of my imagination. These are the blueprints of how we rebuild in such a way that brings us together cohesively as a whole. Natural endings. There are things that are naturally ending. They're in the process right now. Don't be afraid. There's literally nothing to fear. Don't be afraid. There are enough people who are becoming aware of the need for change. There are enough people who are losing enough of their fear of change. All of the divine warriors have been allowed to incarnate. We're all right here with you. Most of us are still hidden, but being hidden does not negate the fact that we are divine warriors. And just because you've only seen us peaceful does not mean you've seen the entirety of our capability. So don't be afraid. Change is coming. And that change is the promise of a new day, a new way, a new type of existence for all of us. And it's up to us what we're going to bring forward, how long it will take. It's up to us. That's how powerful we are. That's how loved we are by creation. It's like when you love your toddler so much and they want to bake something. And so you allow them to have all the tools that are necessary, all the ingredients, without trying to control them, without trying to shame them or create fear. I remember when one of my kids was a toddler, he wanted to learn how to cook stuff. And my cousin, she's like, "What are you doing? You cannot give him a knife." No, I can give him a knife and I can explain to him, this is the side that cuts. This is the side you avoid. When you hold the thing, curl your fingers in so that you don't cut any of your fingers off. You have to hold the handle properly and apply pressure in this way. You are safe. I am watching. Try it for the first time. You did good. Try another cut. You did even better. Keep going. I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to watch. I'll give you little pointers if I see anything needs to be shifted. She thought I was crazy, but was I? Was I crazy, or was I empowering the next generation? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We cannot continue to project our own fears that were once upon a time projected onto us by the generation who was broken before us. You see what I'm saying? I remember when I used to live in California, I lived in the type of like newer neighborhood where they're single family residences, but they all share this like mini driveway area that leads to their personal driveway. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. So I lived in one of those, and literally the house across the driveway from mine, I love that neighbor. The wife is a chef, And they were just so fun. They had like a toddler, like a 1-year-old. And then the husband is a genius. He's just a genius. And he happened to be hosting one of those Google workshops. I forget what they're called now, but they're workshops that are hosted by Google. And you teach people who, kind of like an instructables type thing. You teach them in person though. And because he was a freaking genius, I think he went ahead and he built a 3D printer. And my kid at the time, I want to say he was like 6 or 7. 6 or 7. And I come from a culture where it's like, you were very protective of the children, and you can't really let them go over other people's houses, not even the neighbors, because they'll get kidnapped. It's a lot of fear driven stuff, And I knew this family. It's literally across the street. We have a very open line of communication between myself and my child. He'll tell me anything. And so I let him go across the street. And he learned so much because my child's a genius. The neighbor's a genius. Oh my God, they were vibing like they were the same age. Not even joking. They were using all the technical terms and they were just vibing like they were the same age, like actual equals. And it was beautiful to see because up until that point, it was very hard to find a person, even an adult, that my child could see as, someone who is an equal, really. Everyone always felt that he was just too smart. So it was kind of like they didn't know how to communicate, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. And yes, every time he went over, every 30 minutes or so, I'd look out the window like, is something happening over there? They're in the garage. The garage door is open. My window faces their garage. And I still had that fear that was programmed within me from the generation that broke before me. But in no way was I willing to project that fear onto the generation after me. In no way. And so I didn't. I just chose not to. And I let him go over there. I let him do the things that he found passionate, the things that gave him a sense of purpose. We have to stop projecting our fear. We have to allow things to end with us. Just because you were damaged as a child, your perception, you perceive yourself to have been damaged in childhood. Just because things happened to you when you were a child. Just because you were spanked. I turned out fine. Are you sure? Because if you were spanked and you don't see how it made you feel as that child, and the ramifications of that, and the way you mask and hide your truth, are you sure you turned out okay? Or maybe there's things that need to be kind of, reconsidered. See, I wasn't spanked as a child, but I absolutely saw my brothers get their butts beat. As an empath, and that's what developed my empathy. No. Witnessing other people's trauma is worse than traumatizing me. Let that sink in. Because I know I'm not the only one that exists in this way. Witnessing the suffering of others hurts and harms me more than my own suffering. That I can compartmentalize my suffering and it really has minimal effect on me. Probably not healthy to compartmentalize to that degree, but the witnessing of someone else's suffering eviscerates me immediately, instantly. I remember one time I had to go through Stockton, California. If y'all don't know, Stockton is hood. It's hood. My chick bad. My chick hood. It's like that. And I lived right near Stockton, so whatever. My kids went to school at a charter school in Stockton. And it was this thing of consistently driving through homeless communities, tent cities. This was like early 2000s. And it was difficult. That's an understatement. It was difficult seeing them. And I used to create these, care packages. Or sometimes if my kids wanted McDonald's and we had the budget for it, I would buy a whole bunch of extra food. Whatever I had, I would spend it all and I would buy a whole bunch of cheeseburgers and whatever. And I would take the kids and we would kind of just go around the city and just give it out. Hey, I ordered too much. You want a burger? Still warm. Like, yeah, thanks. You want a shake with that? And they're like, oh, you got hella food. It was just a beautiful experience with my children. And they loved it. Every time we'd find someone new to feed, they'd be like, yes! Toddlers, like a whole car of toddlers, a whole minivan of toddlers. And I distinctly remember one time, I was in a rush. I had to go somewhere downtown in Stockton for some official stuff. I think I needed to file a DBA or something like that, some business stuff. And I had all my kids with me. And, it was really this thing of like, damn, I'm rushing. I had a double-decker stroller. I had kids. I had a kid in a baby carrier. And I was just rushing. And I hadn't eaten yet. And at that time, I would experience, if I didn't eat in time, I would experience severe hypoglycemia. That's dangerous because I can pass out and it's just me and a whole bunch of toddlers in the middle of downtown. And I was getting out my bag of Burger King. I remember this distinctly. It was cold that day. I was getting out my bag of Burger King and I was going to start eating while I'm walking with all the kids to the building. And I see this man and he's barely waking up. He had a beanie on that was like half falling off. He had this like beige, tannish looking comforter wrapped around him. Clearly he was homeless and he was just waking up from his sleep. And his eyes were still groggy. And I had my bag and I stopped. I'm like, ha! I took out a hash brown and I said, hey, do you have breakfast yet? And he just looked at me and I was like, I got an extra meal. I'm just saying, you want breakfast? It's still hot. And he goes, yeah. I gave it to him. He didn't say thank you. And I was just like, hey, you matter. I got to go though. I left. I could not walk past him without feeling his suffering. And in that, it was more important for me to kind of make sure he ate breakfast early in the morning at the start of another ugly day. Because I knew it was going to be another ugly day for him. So I gave him my breakfast. Luckily, I had purchased an extra hash brown. I gave him my breakfast and my coffee. I hadn't drank out of the coffee yet. And I knew I had something like 75 cents. I was like, you know what? I'll just go get a sports drink from one of the vending machines. That will tide me over. Hopefully this appointment doesn't last more than like 30, 40 minutes because that's about the time frame I have between okay and pass out. And everything worked out. Everything worked out. And that's the thing is like finding that happy balance between doing too much for too long and doing enough. You have to consider the needs of the human and the wants of the soul. Usually the ratio, the formula we have are the wants of the human and the needs of the soul, right? And it's usually the wants of the human and the needs of the soul. But see, when you hold both beautifully in balance, you can see all the options. You can see everything that you're being presented with. And what are you being presented with? This middle ground, this gray zone, the place where the light and the darkness are juxtapositioned and allowed to dance beautifully together. Darkness is not intrinsically bad. That's where all of your most powerful components are hidden. Why there? Well, because we intrinsically have fear of the dark. It's part of our survival program. And you need to have reached a certain level of maturity in order to tap into that. You can't be given those types of powers, abilities, talents without having a specific minimal level of maturity. This is not allowed. That is not allowed. That's a failsafe. You have to learn to balance between the two. If you listen to all of the spiritual people who try and convince you of toxic positivity, to live in a toxically positive way, to exist only in the light, the light, the light, the light, they're sunburnt. They are burnt. They are crispy critters. They are light blind. You were never asked to allow and enable other people punishing you. You were not asked to do that. You weren't. I tell you that right now, you weren't. There is nothing wrong with standing up for yourself, having a voice. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't listen to the sunburnt people. Give them some aloe vera. Aloe vera to drink and to slather on, okay? They're dehydrated, they're not thinking, seeing clearly. Just don't listen to them. You don't even have to listen to me. That's the beautiful part. Listen to yourself. You're being so divinely guided. Listen to yourself. These are cycles that we're in, okay? The cycles that we're in will circle us back around to this place of our origins, where we began. That's okay. You don't have to be afraid. Where we begin is where we will build. Ooh, I know where it's going to be. Wow. I was just saying we're so divinely guided, right? I know where the first sanctuary will be. Where we began is where we will build. I know exactly where this journey first began. I bought the land for it already years ago. That's crazy. That's crazy good. This land is fertile, extremely fertile. And there's water. And it's temperate. And it's surrounded by wildlife for miles on end. I have to see. I don't have the email anymore. I have to find the deed. I wonder when I bought it. Like what day exactly? Let me see if I can find it right now. Let's see. Documents. Wow. These numbers are beautiful. Something about the number 18. I felt like the filing would be completed by the 18th. I don't know if it will yet. And then I felt like I needed to purchase all of the URLs already, which I have. That needed me to confirm, to finish processing the verification stuff by the 18th. I purchased this land on the 18th. That's just wow. I'm looking at the contract. So it's uploaded on the 18th, right? I purchased it for $18,000. One being the number of singularity, the law of one. 8 being the number of reunification, back into one. 1 plus 8 is 9, the highest level of divinity. That is the cup that pours into your own. I didn't know how much I got it for. I purchased it back in 2015. 35 acres. 3 being the number of a solid foundation from which to launch change, the number 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 being the number of reunification. Wow. I gotta go, guys. I'm sorry. 18 is a number of my mother's birthday. I'm sorry, I have to go. I just realized I'm missing an important business meeting. I'm not going to go live later on today. I hope you guys enjoyed the first day of church. See you at church tomorrow. 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Same time my mother forced me to go to church my entire life. Please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. I will see you guys again very, very soon. Bye, everyone.